Hello and welcome to New Mexico Rising. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week I try to bring people from across the country to talk to me about things we could do in your neighborhood. If you want to be on the show, just email me. That's newmexicorising@gmail.com. Coming up on this show, we have this.
Understanding that what they chew and swallow down makes a dramatic impact on their current and future breast health and overall.
Zilphia, she is our main character. She is the princess of Pabulum.
When you have these chronic health conditions, unfortunately, you're more at risk for severe complications like pneumonias. And also your body just doesn't fight these infections as well. Also,
don't use public Wi-Fi. You can't tell if the signal that you may be using on your phone is actually legit, and any of the device that you have on that network could either have bad software downloaded on it or they can steal information.
You're gonna take some of those ingredients that are much more calorie dense, break them down, right? And then swap in a lot more nutritious foods, right?
All of that and more right here on New Mexico Rising. New research highlights the challenges facing America's rural workforce. The inaugural GROW, Generating Rural Opportunities in the Workforce report from the University of Phoenix and the Center on Rural Innovation reveals that 60% of workers feel a meaningful career is out of reach due to where they live. Limited access to quality technology and internet is kind of a major barrier. But there are solutions. Joining us to discuss the key findings and explore ways to bridge the gap is Raghu Krishnaiah, Chief Operating Officer at the University of Phoenix. Let's welcome to the show, Raghu. How are you, my friend?
Doing well. Thank you for having me today.
Okay, so what are some of the biggest challenges the rural workforce is facing today?
Well, the GROW report indicates that nearly 70% of workers in rural America have actually a great deal of optimism about the future of their career, which is fantastic to hear. However, we did find that the younger rural workers, the Gen Z, the millennials, are feeling less satisfied in their current job. And much of this is coming from their concern about limited employment opportunities and their ability to grow in the areas in their careers in which they live. As a result, more than half of them are considering looking outside the rural areas to grow and build their careers. So unless we find ways to help these individuals advance in their careers in the areas in which they live, rural America could be losing critical community members, especially its younger future generations.
So how do these findings fit into the current work landscape, especially when there's more remote opportunities available?
Yeah, so we found that technology, as we've seen, has driven significant changes across the workforce. Highlighting a need, for example, to constantly evolve people's skills, such as learning AI. But it also showed a greater flexibility available for people to start working from anywhere, not just the urban locations. The GROW report showed that 75% of workers in rural America feel that educational opportunities would help them build their skills, but over half didn't feel they had access to the right tools and resources. However, over 85% of them felt that if we could build partnerships between employers and educational institutions, we could turn this tide and improve employment opportunities where they live.
So how can organizations and institutions help break down the barriers for rural workers?
Well, educational institutions, employers, and other organizations, such as the one you mentioned, Center on Rural Innovation, working together can create meaningful solutions. Much like we do in urban environments, we could do the same in the rural environments. So, for example, we could continuously provide and increase access to broadband and internet, which everyone needs to have. We could foster entrepreneurship. We found that over 50% of workers indicated an interest in owning their own business. And we can connect students and workers and build the right and targeted learning pathways and skill development programs, as well as provide all the mentorship and networking opportunities that we know that are needed to help individuals grow and advance in their careers. And we can make this reality if we work together to reduce the barriers associated with geography.
Raghu Krishnaiah, thanks for joining me this morning. Where can we go for more information and learn more about the report?
Well, please visit phoenix.edu/career-institute to hear all these stats and even much more in there.
All right, thanks for joining me this morning, my friend.
Well, thank you. Have a good rest of the day.
Fraud, identity theft, and data breaches have become part of our everyday lives. So far, pretty much in 2024, there have been over 1,300 data breaches, and consumers have reported losing more than $10 billion to fraud, which is the highest amount ever reported, According to the Federal Trade Commission, Experian's 2024 U.S. Identity and Fraud Report sheds a little light on how consumers feel about cyber threats and their online footprint. So joining us today to discuss these findings and share how we can protect ourselves is Michael Bruemmer, Vice President of Experian Global Data Breach Resolution and Consumer Protection. Welcome to the show, Michael. How are you, my friend?
I'm well, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so what does this latest identity and fraud report show?
We surveyed 2,000 consumers, and they gave us their top concerns. And those top three concerns are generative AI, deepfakes, and cybercrime. More specifically, 84% of them said, we're really concerned about identity theft. And then 80% of them said they're concerned about stolen credit cards. And both of those numbers are up 23% versus last year.
So how does someone protect themselves from fraud, cybercrime, and identity theft?
There are three things that I like to say. One, be aware. If you get a notice of a data breach, make sure you read it, find out what happened, why it happened, and how to protect yourself. Second, make sure you act quickly. Check your credit file, maybe put a freeze on it. Don't click on any links. Don't answer any phone calls from numbers that you're not familiar with or aren't in your contact list. And then make sure you're not using any of those QR codes, because humans can't tell the difference between a good QR code and a bad one. I'm also highly recommending a password manager. It's secure. You only have to remember one master password, and then it will generate a long and complex password. Also, two-factor authentication beyond a username and a password is available from most financial institutions or key accounts. And that gives you a text to your phone, a thumbprint, a retina scan beyond that password. Also, don't use public Wi-Fi. You can't tell if the signal that you may be using on your phone is actually legit. And any of the device that you have on that network could either have bad software downloaded on it, or they can steal information. So those are a couple tips.
So what are some of the top concerns for consumers?
Right now, beyond the identity theft, their privacy, online scams, and then fake news. And of course, within this election cycle, there's a lot of fake news that's being generated by nation states to influence the election. And some of the scams that are going around, romance scam is probably the top one. Anything for charity, maybe student loan forgiveness, because it's popular there if you can go to a site thinking you're going to save money. And that brings me to my last one, is any travel or booking sites or ticketing sites are also generally being scammed. The adage I say is, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah, I heard recently about the, pig slaughtering scam, where they romantically get involved with you and then a few days later just drain your bank account because they make you feel good, because they pay out usually the first time around. Just to look into that.
Yes.
So how are some of the ways, and from your expert opinion, what are some of the ways to identify ways to kind of go beyond and start sniffing out whether this is a scam? And yes, it's too good to be true, even though it may feel really, really good.
Be hyper aware. It's good to be Chicken Little when it comes to your identity theft. So if you're getting mail from creditors that you're not expecting, you have some strange texts that are coming into your phone, you receive odd letters. The other day, my family actually got 3 different sextortion scams after the National Public Data Breach. And they had a picture from the front of our house from Google Maps. They had information about previous addresses, and they used it to concoct a pretty good letter. But it needs to be the awareness of an individual just to go ahead and be suspecting something early on and catch it.
Michael Bruemmer, thanks for joining me this morning. Where can we go for more information?
Experian.com has all the answers you need for protecting yourself against identity theft, consumer tips before or after a data breach, and then the steps that you should take if you suspect you might have fraud or identity theft. It'll walk you through there.
Thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Dan.
There's a lot of misinformation about healthy eating, like nutritious foods are boring or you can't eat eggs every day. Today, we're setting the record straight with Kevin Curry, founder of Fit Men Cook and best-selling cookbook author. He's cracked the code to more balanced, heart-healthy meals using a surprising secret: eggs. Kevin is here with 4 common food misconceptions and the latest nutrition science about eggs and how they can be part of a heart-healthy diet. Welcome to the show, Kevin. How are you?
What's going on, man? How you doing? What's up, Albuquerque?
What are some common misconceptions about healthy foods?
I think one you've already said is just that healthy food is too costly and too bland. And I know that y'all have great food there, so we know that that's not true. The other thing that I've heard throughout the years that is so upsetting is that you gotta stay away from eggs. Eggs aren't good for you, but that's one of the farthest things from the truth. In fact, according to the American Heart Association, a healthy adult can have up to 7 eggs a week as part of a healthy, balanced diet, meaning you gotta eat your fruits, veggies, and whole grains. Balance is the key.
All right, share your secret weapons on creating heart-healthy, balanced meals with that's something that everyone will enjoy.
Right. The first thing I tell people is to don't overthink it. Take foods that you're already eating and reimagine them in calorie conscious ways, meaning you're going to take some of those ingredients that are much more calorie dense, break them down, right? And then swap in a lot more nutritious foods, right? And then the second thing that I tell people is that eggs are my secret weapon because they're super versatile. They're high in protein, choline, plus you can sneak them into recipes like salads and sandwiches and use them as fillings.
Can you share the latest on egg nutrition science?
Well, one of the biggest ones, again, people have this war on eggs, and my dad loves eggs. But here's the thing. If you're older with normal cholesterol levels, you can actually eat up to 2 eggs a day, according to the American Heart Association. So yeah, we got to stop the fear, stop the war on eggs. They are fine as part of a healthy, balanced diet.
All right, tell us about some of the meals that you got in front of us.
Yeah, so I've got some tacos because here in Texas, tacos are life. So I've got some egg tacos with some beans and some sauteed spinach and some guac on top. Great grab and go option for any time of day, for any day of the week. And one of my go-tos is this roasted veggie grain bowl where you're gonna toss some veggies in your favorite spices, roast them, and then add them to a bowl with some spinach or kale. Toss in some whole grains like some farro or quinoa, even brown rice. Top it off with some eggs for the protein and then some avocado crema. I'm telling you, man, everybody loves this dish.
All right, Kevin, thanks for joining me this morning. Where can we go for more information?
Sure, go to heart.org/eatsmart.
Is COVID just another cold now? As we enter cold and flu season with COVID-19 and RSV in the mix, the latest health guidelines can be a little bit confusing. So here to help to make a little sense of all of it is Dr. Preeti Parikh, Executive Medical Director at GoodRx and a board-certified pediatrician. She's here to give us some tips on navigating the seasons and discuss new vaccine guidelines and offer advice on staying healthy and saving on treatments. Welcome to the show, Parikh. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good, thank you.
All right. What can you expect this cold and flu season?
So some trackers that we've been tracking and consumers can also go to is the CDC has been tracking flu, COVID, and RSV, seeing what the trends are. And so far it looks similar to last year. And also goodrx.com/flu savings, you can go there. And we have a tracker that tracks prescriptions for treatments for flu, COVID, and if needed, antibiotics if you have a complication with pneumonias. And that also is trending similar to last year. But the good news is there's also a lot of optimism that maybe if everyone does their part and gets vaccinated, that we actually may have a less severe and virulent season this winter for flu, COVID, and RSV, which are the 3 most common viruses that cause the triple-demic and most severe illness and hospitalizations.
So what new RSV and COVID-19 vaccine guidelines are available?
Yeah, so COVID-19, and I don't want to forget about flu because that's another big one, that both of those vaccines are available and everyone 6 months and older should get it. Even if you got it last year, the virus strains change every year. So in order to get the most up-to-date and best protection, everyone 6 months and older should get that flu and COVID vaccine. RSV is the new one that came out last year, and that one is actually specific based on eligibility. So if you're 60 and above and have chronic health conditions like asthma, diabetes, other things like that, you are eligible for the RSV vaccine. If you're above age 75, everyone is eligible for it. Pregnant women are eligible to get it because you're also passing it on to your newborn. And then our babies that are under 8 months and those toddlers that may have chronic health conditions are also eligible for this passive immunization where they get the antibodies to protect them for RSV for those months. They last a couple months during the peak RSV season, which is around October through May. So talk to your healthcare professional to see if you or your child is eligible to get it, and get it by late October. I would recommend to get it as soon as possible so you get the most protection during the season.
So why do flu and cold symptoms worsen conditions like asthma, diabetes, and heart disease?
So they worsen them because when you have these chronic health conditions, unfortunately, you're more at risk for severe complications like pneumonias. And also your body just doesn't fight these infections as well. And so it's really important, especially if you're in those high-risk conditions, that you get the vaccines that you qualify for, which is definitely flu and COVID, and potentially RSV if you're above age 60.
So how can consumers save money in treatments during cold and flu season?
Yeah, so talking to a lot of my patients and my colleagues, myself, and all my friends, I mean, healthcare costs have been skyrocketing for years. And even when we have insurance, we have high deductibles. Sometimes the copays are really high. And then those people that don't even have health insurance, it's really important to make sure that they have access to these amazing new vaccines and to get those treatments if you do get sick. So GoodRx.com/flu savings is a great resource. We have coupons and savings for vaccines, for treatments such as antibiotics, antivirals, things like that. In case you do get sick, even if you got those vaccines, you may still get the illness, but you can help those by treatments. And the other big thing is, which I'm really proud of, is last year we saved Americans over $20 million during just the cold and flu season to help them with vaccine access and treatment access at a price they can afford.
All right, one more time, where can we go for more information and get some of those resources?
Yeah, so GoodRx.com/flu savings. You get those savings insights and opportunities, but also important, there's so much information out there. There's so much content, different platforms. And in our platform, we actually have health content that is created by healthcare professionals, by pharmacists that are vetted, created, and curated by them to make sure you get the most accurate and evidence-based medicine where you know that you're getting trusted content. I also recommend to go to CDC, which is the Center of Disease Control.gov, American Academy of Pediatrics, or other websites like that where they are associated with the Medical Professional Society. These are all great resources to make sure you get the best health content to help prevention and treatment during this flu and cold season.
Dr. Parikh, thanks for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Did you know that most women aren't aware that a healthy diet can lower the risk of breast cancer? A new survey reveals that nearly 75% have never received information from their healthcare providers about the link between nutrition and breast cancer. So joining us today are Dr. Christy Funk, a renowned breast cancer surgeon, and Dionne Bush, a breast cancer survivor and founder of SistaFit, where they're here to show us how nutrition can play a vital role in breast cancer prevention and offer strategies to help women take charge of their own health. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Thanks, Dan. We're great. How are you?
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, so what are some of the findings of your recent survey?
So what we found is that when we asked over 2,000 women what are some risk reduction strategies when it comes to breast cancer, only 28% mentioned diet, which means 72% have no real understanding that what they chew and swallow down makes a dramatic impact on their current and future breast health and overall health. They also failed to mention over 95% of the time that exercise and weight and alcohol could be contributing factors to breast cancer and therefore something that you can readily control. It tells me we've got a lot of work to do with education, so thank you for having us. This is part of reaching out and trying to educate people, as is the entire campaign called letsbeatbreastcancer.org. Our goal is to empower women with a four-pronged approach to reducing breast cancer risk. So they would just go to letsbeatbreastcancer.org and sign up. We'll send them free e-resources, a getting started guide, an e-cookbook, and really help them understand in actionable, fun, very ready to implement ways how they can change their diets, change their behavior, and change their health destiny.
So why is nutrition a key factor for breast cancer prevention?
Nutrition matters because when you eat food, you're releasing molecules into your system that literally either are pro-cancer or anti-cancer. And the foods that consistently, every time, deliver an anti-cancer punch are coming from plants. So by plants, I mean vegetables, fruits, legumes, lentils, beans, peas, seeds, nuts, and whole grains. These foods lower bad estrogen levels, they lower inflammation, and they can truly alter DNA pathways so that your cells stay healthy and cancer either never forms, or if you are a cancer survivor, it doesn't have what it needs to recur and create a fatal situation. Food matters.
So how did a plant-based diet help you recover from breast cancer, Dionne?
So great question, Dan. So to give you the story, 2019, annual mammogram, thought I was living my best life, personal training, teaching other people how to live a healthy life, right? And just started my vegan diet. Got the diagnosis. We found breast cancer, a call that nobody wants. But I realized that my diet wasn't as healthy as I thought it was. Now at 57, I am stronger, powerful, resilient, free of cancer, and more focused on staying alive and living healthier. Let me tell you, that diagnosis was my wake-up call. It has empowered me to change my future because I have the power, right? I've learned that the more colorful my meal is, the more likely it is to have an abundance of cancer-fighting nutrients.
So what are some nutrition tips to help people start their health journey, Dionne?
I got 3 tips, right? Simple. Do your research. Don't get stuck on the salad trap, and keep it simple by focusing on whole foods, right? Exercising, staying positive, but do your research.
And do you have any advice for women who have been recently diagnosed with breast cancer?
Okay, so I'm going back to that day when I got that call. Breathe, pray, do not stress out. Talk to your doctor, go through the plan that they have for you. Get with that support group. That is so important, having that community, because it's going to keep you focused. Adopt that whole food lifestyle. Live the lifestyle. It's good for your cholesterol. It's good for your blood pressure. It is good for your muscles. It's good for your thinking. It's holistic. I'm living the plant-based lifestyle, and I want you to live it too.
Thank you very much, Dionne. Where can we go for more information, Dr. Funk?
Go to letsbeatbreastcancer.org. Sign up for free. Get your resources to embark on this journey. Another website, pinklotus.com/powerup. A whole community focused on living their best lives. Lots of resources there too.
Thank you too for joining me.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
I'm excited to have 2 amazing people with me today. One of them is a close friend of mine, B. Donaldson. She's the author of the new middle grade fantasy novel, Pabulum, and her illustrator, Emmily Yoahallam. They've teamed up to create the first book as part of the Ceridwen series, which is out now. But I can't wait to talk to them about this. Welcome to the show, you two.
Thanks for having us.
What is Pabulum about, and the Ceridwen series about?
So Pabulum is about our main character, Zilphia. She goes on an adventure to discover more about her kingdom, and she finds creatures and adventures that were once abandoned, and they save her kingdom from total destruction. And from there, throughout the series, we will just dive more into the world that she discovers. I don't want to give too much away. So,
all right. So you're her illustrator.
Yes.
What was like the collaboration process? What was the collaboration process like? And do you happen to have a favorite illustration in there?
Yeah, collaboration was a lot of fun. I would pivot a lot to her, even drawing sketches at home, sending her photos, and just making sure that I got what she was envisioning. But she also let me have a little bit of creative license on some of the characters that I was really, really very thankful for, because I had a lot of fun. One in particular was of the character Calyx, which is a small creature about this size. And I had a lot of inspiration for him. It's a little bits and pieces of the things that you love when you were a kid, you know, movies or cartoons that you watched or books that you read. So it's up to the readers to see if they recognize any of those things in him.
All right, and if some of the things that they might love.
That they might love as well, yes.
Don't say. Can you share some insights on some of like the main characters and like, I guess the world that you've kind of created?
Sure. Well, we already talked about Zilphia. She is our main character. She is the princess of Pabulum. She goes on her journey and discovers... I've thrown in some ancient deities and just a few other, you know, there's like fairies and other fun magical creatures in this series. And I don't know, do you want to elaborate on some of the
characters and where they come from?
Oh
gosh.
Did you actually bring any of them from like mythical or even like historical characters or people?
Oh, yeah.
I did. Yeah. A lot of them are based off of like mythical creatures that already exist. And of course, you know, because it's fantasy and we're creating our own world, it's kind of our own little spin on things. But there's also a lot to do with flowers and some that already exist. Like the front cover is the Queen of the Night flower.
Okay.
And we have a few other things like some mushrooms that we've really liked, and then datura in there as well. So yeah, ties everything together.
All right, so where can people go for more information and maybe follow you for some of the future books that you guys are writing?
We are publishing through Bootstrap Publications, so you can go to bootstrappublications.com/bdonaldson, and you can also find the book on Amazon. If you want to follow our social media page, we have an Instagram account at the Sarah Duen series, or you can join our email list. It's bdonaldsonwrites, just the letter B, donaldsonwrites@gmail.com.
B, Emily, thank you for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Dan.
All right.
That's it for New Mexico Rising. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. If you actually want to be on the show, just email me. That's newmexicorising@gmail.com. We have social media. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Just look up New Mexico Rising TV. You could go to our website. That's newmexicorising.com. We got some merch and some of the books from some of our authors that we'll just send to you for free. We have a limited quantity. All you got to do is pay for shipping. And if you want to find yourself following our YouTube channel, that is at NM Rising. Make sure you like, comment, share, and put that little bell button so that you get notified whenever we upload a new show. Until next week, that was New Mexico Rising.
Transform ordinary moments into extraordinary memories with our magical succulent bar. Whether it's a quiet moment of reflection or a first date, let the enchantment of nature enhance every occasion. Radiate positivity and create manifestations while making your very own magical succulent. Embrace the magic at Zinkstown, where we bring positivity to any occasion.